Aries, this is your May 2022 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is a reading for you. All my readings are general, but we'll give you some key astrological dates and messages that will hopefully resonate and empower you as you move through the next few weeks. This is Romy. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune into my channel. I appreciate you. So we're coming into Taurus season and we're opening up with the energy of the Four of Pentacles. I think you are in this mindset of just like taking care of what's yours and really starting to appreciate and value actually what you bring to the table, how precious your energy is, and just making sure that you're, giving yourself that firm, stable foundation. You can't become who you need to be, who you're destined to be, if you're waiting for the approval and the validation of others. And so this kind of locking something away also suggests to me that, you're being quite discerning and selective, I think, about perhaps what you choose to share, who you choose to be around. And, in some regards, also being very aware of what the energy is that you're quoting your words in, because all of this subtlety really matters. Now, this is an incredibly auspicious month for you, Aries. We have a whole bunch of personal planets that are moving into your sign. So even though we're out of your solar returns, moving through the next few weeks, you've got an awful lot of energy. And it will come through as well in terms of just feeling like people are on your side as well. So from the 2nd, we're going to welcome Venus shifting into your sign. So here, of course, we get to be a little bit more assertive. We bring some more passion and almost that free-spirited nature to the table. Of course, Venus ruling our relationship with others in terms of love, but also our relationship to money. That's important because you're in 2nd house, so you are looking and taking some time to appreciate resources, your money story, your income streams, and really kind of being mindful of what you have, thinking about how you can make it work for you, or just being open to new ideas. Now, of course, the eclipse portal that we're now in does bring about sudden shifts and changes. Now, Scorpio, of course, is going to be the lunar eclipse that we're going to welcome on the 15th of the month. And Scorpio rules that 8th house, which is also about other people's money, shared money. It's about debt. It's about our access to capital and loans. And so there's a strong emphasis in terms of, I think, reworking things, refinancing things. We also have retrograde energy this month in Gemini that's going to be coming in from the 10th. So a chance to go back over agreements, look at the fine print, make sure that something's working for you, if there's any renewals that are coming up in relation to anything. But I also see that you are meant to be visionary with your own life right now. It's a really important month for this. You have to believe in the validity of what it is that your heart's desire is asking for right now, and you have to believe the validity of it in the context of just how crazy the world seems right now and how against the backdrop of things that might feel like incredibly impossible to achieve. In actual fact, if you've been given that vision, if you have that idea, not only is it possible, but actually it's something that can serve you incredibly well, because it's the very thing that's going to help you to step into that destined path and become who you are meant to be. Who's trying to tell you who you should be and how you should proceed? Because I feel with this 9 of Pentacles, there's a bit of a backlash on that. And you're just like, I will do it in the way that I need to. I will dance to my own tune. I will serve what meets my energy expression at this moment in time. You're not a trend to be followed. If someone's trying to put you on a pedestal or someone's trying to dictate what they think is best for you, here I have this energy of self-sufficiency coming through, and also just really being able to give credit to yourself in terms of what you've been through to get to this point. This is also going to be important in regards to relationships. 9 of Pentacles sometimes comes in with a little bit more of an independent vibe. Now, next to the 4, let's just talk about relationships with Venus being in your sign, because you might find that somebody's being a little bit locked down or withdrawn, or holding back in their energy, or you yourself might be that way. But even, whichever way round it is, I still feel like you're all right. You seem to be handling it well this month. So there aren't those emotional meltdowns or feeling overly sensitive. I think you're just like, okay, fine, I'm just going to carry on and I'm going to prioritize where I need to be right now. Because the thing is, there is ambitions that need to be recognized. But here's the thing, right? We get to be ambitious and still have peace. You don't have to take on this story that says, in order to get what I want, or to have the thing that is coursing through me and sort of pulling me forward, I have to sacrifice myself so far that I lose a part of the essence, a part of who I am, or that sense of balance in my life. So regardless of how much you want something, and whether that comes in professionally, personally, romantically, however it's showing up for you, and the time and energy and the dedication that you invest towards it, it still doesn't mean that you don't get to still have, the joy, the lightness, the playfulness. That's really important to remind yourself of this month, okay? So big news, of course, Jupiter coming out of Pisces and moving into your sign on the 10th of the month, the same day that Mercury goes retrograde. Here we have the 6 of Cups. We're looking back to make sense of things as we allow ourselves to move forward. Now, I love that Jupiter in your sign is going to be around till the 28th of October, and then it will dip back into Pisces at the end of the year, and then it will be back in your sign in 2023. So you're about to get a really good heads up of how this is going to be working for you. And of course, Jupiter, when it focuses its gaze upon a sign, everything expands. There's an expansion process that's going on here for you. And in that first house, it's about your sense of self. So there's a complete reinvention taking place here, and one that's really bountiful and full of opportunity. And a big part of this, I think, is the way in which you see yourself. And that's important because, again, sometimes we have to look back, or we have to consider the relationships, the experiences, the memories. We have to take the rose-tinted glasses off. We're out of Pisces season now, and some of the personal planets that have been making us sort of more aligned with that particular way of expressing ourselves. And we look at things from a very real, tangible, immersive experience when we're in Taurus energy. It's now we understand what the why is. Now we need to know how we're going to achieve it, or what the next action is that we need to take to help facilitate its manifestation. Now, of course, people can come back from the past, or we need to return to something to check its validity, or to see whether there's something of value. Remember, this is a big month where you're addressing value, both in yourself and the things that are around you or have been part of your life previously. So when you care about things, when you want to put time and energy and investment into it, there's a feeling this month from Aries that there is a kind of meticulous, very deliberate sort of poring over something. And it's not coming in from a place of sort of like OCD or trying to be too perfectionist. It's just kind of being really specific about what it is that you're looking for. I think you're definitely trying to address something. You're trying to get to the root cause, the root feeling. Where did this come from? Where did I first come up with this? How did I get myself in this situation? Why has this come back around to be explored? So asking yourself these kind of questions are going to be really important, because what they help to do is just give you context to things. And from that place, I think you're more readily available, and you're going to find it easier to kind of like let go, and to be able to give yourself permission to allow some new energy, or to pull something back into the pathway that is supposed to be a part of your experience. Now, of course, we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. It's coming in on the 15th. It's activated with Pluto, with Mars, your ruler, and Neptune. Now, there's some favourable aspects here, which means that we'll be very driven to make changes, and we'll also be driven from a place of having faith and almost like being guided from our spiritual path. Now, we always get a little bit tired, a little bit wired around these eclipse energies. To the degree it affects your personal chart is how much you're going to feel this. Is it going to be a tremor, or is it going to be an earthquake? The Knight of Pentacles suggests to me it's actually a little bit more steadying of the ship here, and something that can be quite progressive and actually bring about gain. I do think this is a month overall of gain for you, Aries, and however that shows up, if you just feel that you're gaining mastery and understanding something, you're gaining mastery in terms of how you're dealing with your finances, your money story, you're gaining mastery in your sense of worth, and then therefore what you're expressing, how you're expressing yourself in your relationships. That Knight of Pentacles suggests that there's an important offer on its way to you as well. I think this is something that you need to take seriously. There's a serious edge to this, in a way, because I think it can make a huge difference to what happens next for you, perhaps in relation to your stability and security. May not be something that you completely sort of envisaged for yourself, to be honest, Aries, or it might come in a way that is a little bit surprising. Of course, with these eclipses, things can happen quite suddenly, but they do have a tendency to sort of change everything in some regards. Remember, of course, they bring in the hellos, but also the goodbyes. And that lunar eclipse is saying, what is it that we need to release and let go of? The other thing to bear in mind is that there's a big emphasis around power this month. Now, the influence of power, who's asserting it over you, where dominating forces are trying to control. Or where you yourself are finally stepping into your power, because actually I quite like the 9 and the Emperor, the Lord here coming through, because it shows me there's a capable quality that's emerging from within you, and it's almost like you've got really clear about what you care about. And see, when we know what we care about and it comes from a place of love and sort of dedication to that significance, to that importance, we can like move mountains. But it also requires strategy and planning. And here the execution that's coming in here with the Knight and the Emperor is really formidable. So what I want to say to you is the plans that you develop and create this month are going to work really well for you in the long term, okay? So don't be swayed if people try and talk you out of things. You know what's best for you. Remember what I said earlier, you also can't be waiting for people to approve or to validate your decisions, okay? For sure, you might have to get sign off maybe in some instances from a boss, or maybe from your husband, or you know, your partner, if there's something coming up in that regard in terms of making significant life changes. But ultimately, you know, you are moving through a month where there's an awful lot of supportive influence that says, yes, this is the right time. Now it's further strengthened because we'll have Mars ruling your sign coming into Aries on the 24th. So there we've got Venus, Jupiter and Mars, really powerful placements that are going to help you to feel like, yes, I'm where I'm meant to be. This is working in a way that I had planned and anticipated. And there's just something about you really trusting that innate inner guidance. It brings a lot of wisdom forth. Now, the Emperor and the High Priest, which is the Hierophant energy, do like to do things in the old traditional way. You may yourself be feeling like you want something to be done proper and done right. And so again, you're sort of looking back to how it's been done before or where it's worked. You might also have a bit of a maverick part of yourself that's going to be feeling like all of this, because the structure here is incredible, right? This is a really solid, firm foundation to something, which is great if we're also looking at what's happening in and around relationships. But remember that Mercury retrograde can feel a little bit hazy and unclear. So what felt really solid and secure can also go through a little bit of a metamorphosis and have to be revisited in terms of the fine detail. That said, you may want to be trying to draw upon the experience of what went well before, or where you see convention can support or facilitate something that you want to do. But we also don't want you to lose your uniqueness, to lose what makes you you. That really matters. And so you have to bring part of that personality and that energy imprint into what it is that you're trying to achieve this month, or what you want to do for yourself. Okay, that's really significant. There may be situations going on and discussions that are happening by way of formal partnerships, and commitment is really being emphasized here. There may be something going on for some of you in connection to divorces. Of course, Scorpio on the 8th deals with that, and we've got children showing up. We've got father energy that's being implicated here. So there might be something going on in particular around the money aspect of things. If that is going to be your experience, again, you've got a lot of supportive energy working in your favor this month. From that regard, okay? So we are going to be seeing Mars in your sign from the 24th. We've then got a shift from Venus into Taurus at the end of the month on the 28th, and we'll also be welcoming the new moon in Gemini. Now, as we come into that season, it's third house for you, which is about how you are thinking, how you are communicating, expressing yourself, the short-term tactical decisions that need to be made to get you from A to B. But remember, the Emperor is also about the long game. Yeah, so you might need to sort of have these like multiple plans in place, and that's not a bad thing with retrograde. Have some contingency, have some backup. Now, the Five of Wands suggests there's some conflict going on here. Remember, the third house also rules like siblings and neighbours. There might be a little tension or stress that gets sort of exacerbated around this area. You feel like you're wanting to be kind of, sort of not involved, basically. You don't want to kind of get caught up in all of the dynamic of this, but I feel like there's still something that's going on within you that's causing some conflict or a little bit of a split in your energy. There's a lot of sort of tangible, real, practical elements to your reading here, and it's almost like, you know, when we have to commit to something a certain way forward, or we're maybe going to invest in something, and then you do have that kind of, oh my goodness, like if this doesn't work, or is this going to be the right thing to do, or, you know, do I really want to be in this relationship, or is this the right time to kind of move something forward? So I feel like that's likely to cause your energy to feel a little bit in discord, especially with kind of how the planetary influences are adding to things. I do want to say in the first week of May, we have some really auspicious aspects that I feel, as things are surfacing around that time, pay attention, because they are giving you sort of almost like a sort of spiritual shortcut or way through. We've got Jupiter sextile to Pluto on the 3rd, and we have Sun conjunct Uranus once a year. That happens on the 5th of the month. So there is some really positive breakthrough energies. There may be some I was going to say like multiple options or choices that are starting to come in, and you're kind of there might even be a little bit of escapist energy going on here with that Seven of Cups, you know, because it's just like, here's the plan, here's the strategy, and then all of a sudden, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, let me just kind of not tie myself in so tightly and bound to this situation. But at the same time, like, I feel it's positive that you have choices. I think this is something to celebrate in this instance. Just be careful, because that Five of Wands and Seven of Cups suggests to me that quite easily someone else's opinion or what someone else is up to, more than one person even, can have quite a strong influence on sort of where your intentions are being taken. It's just like the sort of distraction quality of it that could have you sort of getting yourself a bit bound up in knots and sort of second guessing or questioning yourself, starting to doubt some of the things that you felt really, really certain about. So make sure you're taking enough time to kind of step back and clear out and just get much more centered again as to what's important and what matters to you. There's always a bit of showdown energy that comes with these eclipses, likely for agreements and misunderstandings and kind of, bigger blow-ups or arguments. And some of it can kind of happen and then be over very quickly, but the reverberations of it can last much more significantly when it's under the eclipse side of things. And so, it may be like in the moment it feels like, oh God, I'm so glad that's over, but actually then as you start to unpack or consider what the implications are long term, there's going to be some deeper reevaluation that's going to have to take place. I think that's more likely to come in toward the end of June for you in relation to that. Okay, remember, there's just no choice that you need to make this month that means that you have to give away part of yourself, Ten of Pentacles, you've got some incredible, secure, stable energies coming through here. There is an emphasis again with some sort of family dynamics that are being thrown up a little bit going on here. Again, you might be dealing with things that are in relation to loans, to debt, to legacy, inheritance. There's all sorts of like planning and having to kind of take care of business is really showing up strongly for me here. But we're also completing a cycle, and I think that when we're illuminating that second house of your value and your sense of worth, what comes next needs to come from the elevated position. The high priest here says, what have I learned about myself through these relationships, through these experiences? You know, what's happened so far in the first few months of this year? And if I'm about to enter a new cycle and welcome some new energy, let me do that from a place of this new version of myself. Remember, you've just come out of your solar returns. So there's an invitation here to say, let's start embodying it. Let's start really understanding what it means to kind of walk the talk of what we've been thinking about and processing and clearing and addressing. And last month we talked so much about the need for forgiveness. Now is when you start to see the significance of that, because through your ability to be able to do that, to be magnanimous, to find compassion, even if you didn't agree, even if you don't particularly like the person, or there's still a lot of unresolved feelings, what we're looking at is an improvement of their behavior or an apology or something that comes back around karmically that really helps you to see that actually that was the right way, rather than holding a grudge or holding on or trying to retaliate from a place of hostility. So I think you should get some really nice validation around that coming in for you as well. And, you know, Jupiter just wanting to give you that boost and that positive piece of good news that's going to help set you up for how it wants to work with you over the course of this year and into next year. So also expect perhaps a little bit of a unexpected, like bountiful opportunity or some just really good abundance that comes through in some form or another for you. Okay, let's have a look at your oracle card to reflect this reading. We have the rose thread, inner call, soul led, the mystic, living courageously. I think this living courageously is what I really want to highlight here, because there is a bravery. You know, your hero instincts really activated with Mars coming into your sign, even Venus in Aries with that sense of self-worth. And, you know, you are growing tall in this reading. You know, I'm really looking at you kind of taking up space, commanding your own energy, being prepared to be seen, to be heard, to be acknowledged, to be respected for your ideas, your influence, your input, to be taken notice of. And the reason that's able to happen is because you're doing it for yourself. Like, you got to see that. You got to see the pattern. When I believe in me, when I have radical self-respect, other people respect me. And it's so simple, and yet, you know, we forget so often. So paying attention, poring over the details in this retrograde to go back over how you're talking to yourself, how your choices and actions are leading to some of these manifestations, helps you to be more visionary, to live more courageously, and to really start to kind of follow that inner soul call that's pulling you and driving you forward right now. Not everybody's going to like it, Aries. They're just not, you know. There's always a time where we have to have this sort of period of shedding in our lives, and there's a continuation of that. You know, the lunar eclipse will perhaps facilitate the beginning of some people moving out of your life, or a sense of permanence with the door being closed. But you're also making way for new things. New moon in Taurus, know your worth. Well, we've just had the solar eclipse in Taurus, so end of April. What is that bringing up for you? Of course, this is about, you know, I've had enough. This is what I'm ready for. This is where my energy wants to take me. I know I'm worthy of this. I know I deserve this. Here's what I'm about to do about it. And it doesn't matter how disconnected you feel, how much in a healing chaos, how much you feel like circumstances and events are against you, you can still meaningfully move yourself forward, even if not yet in the practical terms, although your reading suggests there's a really positive shifts there, but within the way you talk to yourself. Yeah, that doesn't cost anything. There's no specific place you have to be. There's nobody you need to be with. You just need time, and you need the discipline, and you need the decision that says this is going to make a difference. So think about what has been cast up around that new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, April 30th. And you'll be working with that energy in the first couple of weeks, but even really over the next few months. So see how it's guiding you, where it's pushing you and driving you, and let it fuel you. But let it fuel you from a place of love, not from frustration, not from hostility, not from victimhood, you know, but use it to kind of improve yourself, and you will start to see things kind of shifting in your favor. Like I said, people and energy on your side. I think you'll be quite surprised kind of who shows up in the most unlikely ways this month, Aries. Okay, let's have a look and see what the colour card for this month is for you. Oh, nice, black. Find richness from the dark of the night. Okay, well, obviously we just talked about the fact that these eclipses, they're kind of like the showdown, aren't they, between the sun and the moon, the masculine and feminine energy. And, you know, there's that sort of shadow quality to Scorpio where it's unafraid, you know, it works with that Plutonian energy to deconstruct, to go into the shadow self. But what happens from there is that we find the richness, the insights, the revelations that are truly life-changing. And your reading suggests that you do have command and control to be able to go there and not lose yourself. You do have the ability to kind of search through the shadows, find what it is that's important, and move yourself back into the light, adopting some of that insight and actually changing things and moving into a deeper sense of mastery about yourself. And I think that's going to have a super positive impact, especially on the connections closely connected to you and your ability to be able to ask for more. You know, when I say ask for more, it's just like where there is a disconnect between what you are worthy of, you know, more time, more energy, more love, more abundance, you know, more well-being, more balance, whatever it is, you deserve it. It's what Spirit want for you. It's where your higher self has already positioned itself, but you need to be able to express it to yourself and others. Okay, Aries, this is a general reading for the month of May. All the decks I use are in the description box underneath if that's of interest. If you wait till the end of the video, you're also going to see my new deck, Life Soul Vision, and there's a little screen grab where you can get yourself an additional bonus message, and there is a link there to pre-order the deck, which is going to be coming out in the next few weeks. I can't wait to start using that with you. Right, I'm going to invite you now to think about a personal question that might not have come up in the main reading, Aries. If you're new to the channel, we cover this in the extended version, which is a way for you to receive additional insight into the main reading. We talk for about 20-25 minutes. It also allows me to keep delivering the free content every month, so I'm really appreciating when the reading resonates and you join me there, just the difference that it makes for the work that I do. Okay, so we will clarify this Four of Pentacles, coming in with the 7 and the King of Cups, water sign energy here. Got the 9 and the Page. Queen of Wands showing up, that's your card, I like that for you a lot. Okay, 6 of Cups, the Hermit, 8 of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles, 10 of Wands, 5 of Cups, Ace of Swords and the Emperor, interesting. One more there. Hierophant. Magician, nice. Knight of Swords, 4 of Swords there. Another 5 of Wands, 8 of Wands. Queen of Cups, lovely. Okay, one more. Ace of Cups, beautiful. Aries, thank you for joining me. If you resonate and want to join me for the extended, I will be seeing you there. And if not, then have a beautiful month ahead. I will see you again soon.